Fed just predict a recession? What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard to Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, June the 22nd, as the days now start getting shorter after the summer solstice. And of course, we had Fed week, and did they kind of predict a recession? Well, they might have, but I would suggest that for most of the world, most of the country, we're already in a recession. So again, whether they predict it, they are clueless. They have no idea what's going on. The Fed is a bad organization that needs to be ended, but we'll get into that more in our commentary. But remember that Woodrow Wilson sold out the United States like a stock to four major shareholders, which are Paul Warburg, the Rothschild family, JP Morgan, and the Rockefellers. So you can do the math from there. But as we saw this week, housing starts plunged 9.8% to the lowest level in 5 years. Are we going to continue to ignore the warnings of the housing market, or are we going to do something about it? This again goes back to everything, including the Fed. The National Juneteenth celebration was a dud with the DEI funding disappearing. I got to ask you, the Juneteenth, okay, we have a holiday that is ridiculous. Okay, it's just another federal holiday, but yet we can't make President's Day the day after the Super Bowl, which is in February, which is within a week of the Super Bowl at some point. We can't change that. You got to explain that to me, because the day after the Super Bowl is the least productive day of the year. CDC advisors ousted by RFK. You know, again, these board members, these drug companies, they continue to steal money. They continue to produce drugs, to produce illnesses, to produce drugs so that they can hook you. Again, you think it's possible that some of these diseases could actually be cured, but the profit is so much greater in the giving you, the selling you the drug. I mean, you got to wonder why we have these people on the boards and have people as advisors that have a financial interest to gain by making a decision one way or the other. Okay. The appeals court upheld the Trump's bringing in the National Guard in California. And why are we fighting so much in California? Why is, other than they want to continue to buy votes in California, I mean, it makes absolutely no sense. The violence, the looting that is going on in California before the National Guard was ridiculous. Yet Gavin Newsom, or Newscom, okay, continues to fight along with the rest of the left. You have to explain to me why the left continues to want to allow the illegal immigration, okay, wants to allow the criminals, wants to continue to pay their tax dollars to support this. Please, somebody give me an idea of what this is all about. Trump decide on bombing Iran in 2 weeks. I don't know why we just don't do it now. I know we don't want to get in any more wars, but this could be very quick and rapid if done properly. This is one of the things, we get a little bit some of the too wishy-washy, the threat not followed by the action. So again, I think that Iran needs to be put in its place. I think we need to help Israel. And I think that President Trump needs to make a stand, either not or do it, but quit talking about it. Okay. I think we have raising a generation that is taught to live in fear, to be quiet, to not do anything, to not say anything, of course, and that's when you hide behind technology and your iPhone. I think that we've made some very dramatic mistakes in the most recent generations. I think that you have to allow people to experience, to feel, to see. But I think you also have to have them in more social areas. To hide behind technology, to not want to talk to somebody because you can text them or you can ignore them, I think is a problem. And I think that this is only going to make it greater. And this is also tied into, working from home. the destruction that they did during COVID, I think is a problem, and I think it's going to affect this generation. Okay, and we hear these jobs numbers that come out, and they're total shit. Okay, think about it. That there's a huge population, part of the population, about 30%, from what I understand, that are working two jobs. So the first thing is it skews the amount of jobs that are open. Number one. Number two, it skews the unemployment rate. So again, and it's telling you that people are not making enough money on one job, so they've got to work two. So you've got some families that are working 2 to 4 jobs, the husband, the wife, or the partner, doesn't matter who, and they have to work an additional job just to support the family. Okay. I think that, again, this is a problem, and I think that we have to handle this. Okay. And of course, what they're calling in Rhode Island the Taylor Swift tax. Again, another left state, okay, that wants to get more taxes because they can't. They seem to steal all the money that they take in now. You have to ask yourself, if you're, listen, whether you be a Democrat or Republican, but certainly if you're a Democrat, you have to ask yourself, in the state that you live in, and you're paying so much more tax, like, for example, Texas, California, let's say they're equal in size. Okay. Texas, no state tax, California, 13%. Okay. I know California is beautiful. Okay. But is it worth 13%? And why is Texas flourishing and California struggling? There has to be a mix up somewhere with the money. Okay. The politicians have to be stealing the money somewhere. Not that they're not stealing it in Texas, but at least you, the taxpayer, are not directly funding it. We, the taxpayer, always fund any scam that goes on. Somehow we get the bill. But at least we're not getting, if you're in a no tax state, at least you're not getting the bill directly. Okay. At least they're doing you the favor of not stealing it right in front of your face. Okay. Uh, Fed Governor Waller, excuse me, he's talking about rate cuts for next month. Okay. Now, again, that is total bullshit. We will get into rate cuts in part of my commentary, but I think that we have to. This is something that you're also seeing that the Fed governors can't even necessarily agree. And of course, it's becoming more political than ever before. So we will step out of here for our break, and we'll come back with our market report. And of course, right after the break, here on Bubba's Bottom Line, Sunday, June the 22nd. Well, kids, what's going on? Obviously, we have sponsors who sponsor the show. And of course, they are brokerage partners. I do have many brokers, but these are ones that I think are great for you. And listen, if you want to check them out, great. If you don't, that's up to you as well. But TRADIER Brokerage, $10 a month flat for commission. Saves me $100,000 a year in commission. So, I mean, it'd be foolish not to. Plus, all of our automation hooks up with TRADIER. Capital Trading Group does all of our letter of direction trading, and they're great. And again, I recommend, no matter who you use one broker for equities and one broker for futures. I don't think the two mix well. Okay. And I recommend both, right? But you should separate because people are not good at both. So that's up to you to check it out. ITM Trading. And there's a new interview posted with Daniela Combone, who works there. But ITM Trading for your gold and silver needs, our high school program, and of course our brand new partner and investor, Joya Mom, which is again a method for moms to communicate, talk to each other. It's a wonderful program. I'll have more information for you. In the meantime, let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line with my market report right now. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, June the 22nd. And of course, markets have been stuck, and it's kind of amazing when you look at the spiders, the SPY, have been in a $9 range for the last 3 weeks, making it virtually impossible to make any money buying options. Okay, this would have been a great time to be a seller, but making it very challenging to do anything any good, and it really making the market very hard to trade. And of course, I've spent a lot of time in the poker room and the golf course because of that. But at the end of the day, just remember, be patient. It makes more sense. There's too much uncertainty. There's not enough participation in the market. There aren't enough players which are telling you that we are probably in a recession. So I think you have to be very careful in here. Again, I'm certainly slowed it down. I'm trading at about 10% of my normal because the markets are trading at about 40% of their normal action. So again, I think it's sometimes you have to learn that it's better to observe and wait than it is to be involved. In the meantime, the major indices continue to work their way slightly lower. Nothing dramatic. We've had some big moves. I mean, on Thursday, you had a big move down. Of course, the markets were closed for Juneteenth, but you did have a big move down in the Globex markets, and they came back on Friday. And of course, then they ended up closing slightly lower. But in the meantime, we are still short everything but the Dow. Okay. And should we probably remain so? In the dollar continues to get hammered. If we traded it, which we don't, the only reason we don't trade it is the money that it takes to trade it from using New York. So again, we'd be long the dollar. We are still short the euro currency. We are still short notes. We are long bonds. We are short Bitcoin, which got some good news. And the United States is going to become a bigger player, and the SEC is becoming more approval of it. So again, that's big news. Gold was been lower and looks to head a little bit lower. Again, I like gold, but I think it's got more room to do on the downside before the rally comes in. We are still short silver, which was lower for the week after pushing up to 38. Platinum had a big move and looks like it might be on the run. Now, we would be short it as it got over 1300, but we don't trade it actively because it's not liquid enough for all of us to trade. We're still long copper, which continues to stay in a range. We're still long corn, which is still in a range. We're still looking for a spot to short cattle. Again, I might have missed the boat here by being too conservative, but I'm not going to chase into a crappy market. Natural gas is still up there towards its recent highs, and crude we're long, which had a huge move. I would think that we are long crude, but I would think that we'll be ready to sell it pretty soon here. And I would like to be shorted actually because I think it's going lower. But I think the biggest lesson I can give you right now is to be very patient. Investors, don't do anything. Okay, hedge, be protected. Don't try to time the market. Traders, I think this is a time to observe. It is very tough. It is very hard. Certainly, if you want to sell a little bit of premium or whatever, look for high probability setups. That would be the best advice I could give you if you want to trade at all. Me personally, I'll be trading very little as I wait for some more activity to come. And you all know that I trade a lot normally, but I'm going to be on the very slow side here because I have no interest in being active in this crappy market until it starts to make a move. In the meantime, this is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, June the 22nd. We're going to step out for our last break and come back with our commentary on the Federal Reserve. What's up, everybody? Just a quick reminder of our sponsors, TRADIER Brokerage, Capital Trading Group, ITM Trading, our high school program, and the Joy Mom. And they're on the sides. Their websites are. Check them out. It's good for you. And let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line with my commentary right now. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, June the 22nd. And of course, every week I give you a little bit of commentary, what I'm thinking. Well, this week it's the Federal Reserve. And as you heard me say earlier in reference, Woodrow Wilson sold the United States like a stock to four of the worst people in the world. Paul Warburg, Brian Rothschild, the Rothschild family, JP Morgan, and the Rockefellers. And again, at the end of the day, the Federal Reserve does not have your best interest at heart. The Federal Reserve should be ended. Okay, Ron Paul says it all the time, and I agree. They do not do what they were meant to do. Okay, the scam that we were sold on the Federal Reserve, okay, is not doing what intended. Okay, the markets are supposed to be traded freely. That is capitalism, and the Federal Reserve tries to prevent the free markets from trading by having this ridiculous interest rate decision on a monthly basis. We don't need an interest rate decision. The markets will tell you what interest is. Now, there's a lot of people that complain. I do interviews and they complain back and they go, but what about the debt, the United States debt? Well, we're paying high interest because we overextended and overspent money that we didn't have, that we knew we have to have interest. The interest rate market should not be manipulated so that the United States government can lower their debt payment. The United States government should lower their spending and cut their budget and make sure that we do this versus giving money away. So in this particular case, the current administration is incorrect in pounding on to Powell to lower rates. because if you lower rates, we already have too high of inflation. Inflation will skyrocket. And once again, the rate cut will not help you. Remember, when the Federal Reserve cuts rates, they are cutting the federal funds rate, which is what the banks borrow at. That does not give you a benefit necessarily. Right now, if you go back a year, which when the lat raise cuts were started, the 10-year notes were 3.5%. The Fed funds rate went down 100 basis points. The 10-year notes went up 100 basis points. The banks are making a 2-point wider spread than they were making a year ago, and you're paying higher interest. So don't get caught up with the ridiculous talk of the Fed and what it does for you. It does nothing for you. Okay. The Federal Reserve is nothing more than a group of banks that are making a fortune, dictating policy. And now President Trump is pressuring Powell to cut rates when rates should be up and down based on supply and demand of money, and not because we have a massive debt, because we have politicians for the last 100 years that couldn't control the pencil and kept spending and spending and spending, including destroying our Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid systems by the money they spent ahead of time, because that is all money of taxes that we paid it. In the meantime, I could go on forever, but it is my opinion that we need to end the Fed, or at least audit the Fed. That's the way I see it. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, June 22nd. Have a great weekend, everybody. As always, I thank you. We'll see you later.